Welcome back, guys. So last week we talked about what an API is and how we can use it. And this week, what we're going to do is we're going to code up an API, how to use an AP, implement APIs in Python. So the API we're going to use is a weather API from openweather.org. So what you want to do is you want to create an account or sign in. So I already signed in, and once you create an account, it'll generate a default API key. And so we can use this key to access data. So how are we going to do this? First, let's click on API. And let's say we want to get the current weather data for some place such as San Francisco. So let's click the API docs. We have this by city name query, which means if we want to search by city name. So let's paste this into, so first thing we're going to do is now we have all our API stuff set. Once you have your key and once you've read the docs, now we need to focus on the Python part. So first thing you need to do is you need to make sure you have requests downloaded. So you do this, and if you get no error, then you're set. However, if you do get an error, then you need to go to CMD. And then once you go to CMD, you're going to say pip install requests. And I have it installed already, so nothing's going to happen. And it already says requirement already satisfied. But when you install it, it'll be good. So now we have requests open. Let's create a new file. And let's first import requests. Then we're going to make an input asking the user for a city name. So that's easy because it's just going to be our variable name, then input, and then please type in your city name. Now we have an input, and we want to make sure this is a string because we're going to take this information and append it to our URL. And so what is our URL? This is going to be our URL. So as you can see, we're going to replace this keyword with whatever the user puts in, and then this with our API key. So let's create a URL variable, and we'll paste this in. So we want to replace this with city, and then we're going to replace this with our API key. So let's just copy it and then paste it here. Okay, now is where we're going to use requests. So right now, let's say I made a request for San Francisco. What's going to happen is we first need to make sure everything is like formatted correctly. Let's do London. So what happens is we get a JSON. This is what you call a JSON format. So the file returns a JSON, and this is what we're going to do. So basically, our request library, so we're first going to do JSON data is equal to requests.get URL, and then we're going to put it in the JSON format because this API is using a JSON format. And JSON is just a type of file. So yeah. So what this line does is this retrieves this information to our Python program. So let's print out our JSON data. Let's save the file. Please type in your city name. Let's say something like San Francisco. And invalid URL. Okay. So the reason why this is an invalid URL is because requests uses something called HTTP. So we want to make sure that we, instead of just starting with API, it'll be HTTP // API. Now it should work. as you can see, we got something very similar to the JSON that were seeing in the browser. So now we have to use this information and find out what we want to use and what we don't want to use. In our case, we want to use the temperature, okay? And so you see here the temperature. So if I expand this out, we can see this JSON is a dictionary. And then in this dictionary, there's first going to be main, and then inside main is another dictionary. So let's try and iterate to the variable temp. What we're going to do is our temp, we're going to set a temp variable, and it's going to be JSON data. The first thing we're going to go to is main. Okay, and then now we've gone to main, which is right here. Then we're going to iterate again into temp, which will give us this value here. So how do we do that? We just type in temp. Now let's print this variable and see what we get. So for San Francisco, we should get 289.86. Let's save this. We don't want to run that. Okay. San Francisco, 289.6. However, this is correct and everything's working, but this temperature is actually in Kelvin, and nobody wants to view temperature in Kelvin. So let's convert it into something better, like Celsius or Fahrenheit. This is just a simple math equation. So let's rename this to temperature Kelvin, and then we'll create a new variable called temperature Celsius. And this is going to be temperature Kelvin minus 273.15. Or let's say we wanted to do Fahrenheit. This is just another equation that we have to use. So temperature Fahrenheit, or temperature F, is going to be temperature Celsius multiplied by 9/5 plus 32. And let's get rid of all the decimals. So we'll enclose all of this in an integer. So let's print out temperature F, which will be the temperature of San Francisco in Fahrenheit. Let's run it. San Francisco, 62 degrees Fahrenheit. And so to finish everything off, let's add a degrees and a Fahrenheit symbol. There we go. We want to make this a string. Right now it's just an integer. An integer plus string doesn't work. "62 degrees Fahrenheit." And there we have it. So that's how you make a simple GET request in Python, and we were able to use the API to fetch the weather of a city. I hope you enjoyed it, and tune in next time. Thank you.